Kevin Dutton, Black and White Thinking, The Burden of a Binary Brain in a Complex World. Embark on a journey that delves into the depths of our binary brain and how it influences our perception of the world. With Black and White Thinking, The Burden of a Binary Brain in a Complex World by Kevin Dutton, you'll explore the evolutionary underpinnings of categorization, how we navigate gray areas, and the potential consequences of leaning too much on either under- or over-inclusive styles of categorization. From exploring the concept of cognitive closure to tribalism influencing our thought process, the summary of this book will provide you with a comprehensive understanding of how our brains process information, and shed light on how we can overcome these limitations to better navigate a complex and diverse world.
The Power of Categorization. Categorization is a fundamental human skill, developed from an early age to help us survive and make sense of the world. Evolution equipped us with categorization tools such as fight versus flight, us versus them, and right versus wrong. While essential for survival in the past, in today's complex world, categorization can sometimes cause more harm than good. Forming categories is an innate ability humans acquire from a very young age. As demonstrated in a 2005 study by developmental psychologist Lisa Oakes, even 4-month-old infants can distinguish and process the differences between cats and dogs. By naturally categorizing and processing things around us, our brains quickly make sense of the myriad of sensations and stimuli that flood our senses. Imagine being unable to categorize the items and experiences you encounter daily. From distinguishing between a dangerous object and a harmless item to understanding complex social structures, life would be a chaotic mess. Our evolutionary development of categorization has been crucial in simplifying existence and aiding human survival. Ancient humans relied heavily on categorization to identify life-threatening situations. Simple categories, such as fight versus flight, helped them react quickly to potential danger, while other binary categories, like us versus them and right versus wrong, played a role in promoting social cohesion. By favoring in-group members over out-group members and creating a shared understanding of right and wrong, our ancestors strengthened their support systems and resolved conflicts more effectively. However, while categorization has been invaluable in our evolutionary past, it sometimes poses challenges in our complex, modern world. Our brain's inclination to place things into pre-existing categories can lead to biases, oversimplifications, and misunderstandings. As we continue to evolve, it's essential to recognize the double-edged nature of categorization, a powerful tool that we must wield with care and mindfulness. Navigating gray areas. Drawing lines to distinguish categories proves challenging in various facets of life. From mountains to heaps of sand, uncertainty lingers, often with serious consequences. Identifying and addressing these gray areas proves crucial in navigating the complexities of life. In the humorous film, The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill and Came Down a Mountain, Reginald Anson, a cartographer, contends that a mountain in Wales is actually a hill due to it being 16 feet short of the required 1,000 feet. When villagers pile stones and sand on its peak, the once short hill becomes a mountain. This amusing scenario highlights the difficulties in categorizing and defining thresholds. How fine is the line between a hill and a mountain? A similar thought experiment exists in philosophy known as the Sorites paradox. This paradox asks when a single grain of sand becomes a heap. Each additional grain of sand does not create a heap, but at some point, a collection of grains must become one. When does this transition occur? These questions, while thought-provoking, are not just academic exercises. In real life, they hold significant consequences, particularly in legal contexts. For example, the concept of personhood in relation to abortion laws leads to contrasting regulations and decisions. In the UK, abortions are allowed up until 24 weeks, but is a fetus at 23 weeks and 6 days fundamentally different from one at 24 weeks? Determining and agreeing upon the line can be challenging. In some cases, ignoring gray areas can result in tragic outcomes. In 2012, Ireland's inflexible abortion laws led to the death of Savita Halappanavar, who was denied a medically necessary termination because her fetus's heartbeat persisted. By the time it stopped, she had developed sepsis and passed away. These examples underscore the importance of recognizing and addressing gray areas in a thoughtful manner, as life rarely fits neatly into predefined categories. Striking the categorizational balance. Struggling with clutter or stereotyping? Your categorization style might be the culprit. Hoarders often exhibit an underinclusive style, creating specific categories for each item, making it tough to let go of possessions. On the other hand, an overinclusive style, attaching multiple items to one category, can lead to hasty judgments and stereotyping. The ideal approach to categorization lies in finding the right balance, knowing when to view the bigger picture and when to focus on details. Eddie Howe, a soccer manager, teaches us an example of a balanced categorization system, which helped his team succeed. While labeling certain things as black or white, like cancer cells, is appropriate, a wider perspective is essential for complex matters. Unraveling cognitive complexity. Else Frankel-Brunswick's groundbreaking study in the 1940s revealed that people vary in their need for cognitive closure and cognitive complexity. Those with high cognitive closure prefer certainty, black and white thinking, and quick decision-making, while those with cognitive complexity exhibit tolerance for ambiguity and often take time to make decisions. Although neither trait is inherently good or bad, each has its uses, particularly in politics and social activism, where decisive action is sometimes crucial amidst uncertainty. In a trailblazing study during the late 1940s, psychologist Else Frankel-Brunswick examined how different individuals perceive ambiguity. Participants were shown a sequence of sketches ranging from a cat to a dog, with intermediate images featuring increasingly dog-like attributes. They were asked to determine whether each image represented a cat or a dog. Frankel-Brunswick discovered significant variations in the participants' responses. Some individuals saw the final dog image sooner than others. Highly prejudiced participants took longer to change from cat to dog categorization. Some never acknowledged the progression to dog images, insisting even the ultimate sketch was still a cat. This experiment unveiled a crucial psychological attribute, the need for cognitive closure. People differ in their preference for cognitive closure or cognitive complexity. Those who require cognitive closure are drawn to certainty, crave unambiguous answers, and make rapid decisions. They have less patience for nuance and are less inclined to scrutinize matters from varying perspectives. On the other hand, individuals with cognitive complexity tolerate ambiguity, perceive multiple shades of gray in situations, and typically reach decisions more slowly. Unsurprisingly, religious extremists lean towards cognitive closure, whereas moderates manifest higher cognitive complexity. It's critical to recognize that neither cognitive preference is inherently superior to the other. In certain scenarios, particularly in politics and social activism, decisive action is vital, even during uncertain times. Consider the case of Greta Thunberg, a teenage climate activist who advocates for immediate action against climate change. Thunberg's uncompromising attitude, a result of her preference for cognitive closure, can be the catalyst needed to spur urgently needed change. Tribalism taints reality perception. Tribalism, a phenomenon observed on social media, causes individuals to evaluate the truthfulness of statements based on their alignment with their group's values instead of factual evidence. This tribal epistemology is evident in incidents such as the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. Moreover, tribalism can adversely impact how we perceive and judge people belonging to other racial categories. However, supercategories, such as sporting allegiance, can help override these categorization errors and bring people together. Tribalism, a term often encountered on social media, refers to the notion that individuals tend to judge the validity of statements by their support for their group's values, rather than basing judgments on factual evidence. This behavior became prominent following the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida. Instead of having constructive debates, some people resorted to denying the incident altogether, labeling grieving students and parents as crisis actors. Furthermore, tribalism doesn't just impact our thoughts, but also alters the way we perceive our surroundings. This is particularly true when it comes to race, a gray area filled with ambiguities. In 2006, a study conducted with participants playing a video game revealed their instinctive judgments based on race. The participants were quicker in deciding to shoot armed black suspects and not shooting unarmed white people, displaying an underlying prejudice. Fortunately, there's a solution to counter the negative influence of tribalism: supercategories. These overriding categories can unite individuals despite their usual differences. A University of Delaware study demonstrated this when white football fans engaged more with black interviewers wearing home team hats, proving that the supercategory of sporting allegiance can triumph over racial bias. In conclusion, tribalism can distort our judgment, making it difficult to recognize the truth and clouding our perception of reality. Nevertheless, adopting supercategories can serve as a powerful antidote to bias by fostering unity and transcending divisive stereotypes. Amplified words, amplified thinking. In a world where extreme language is becoming more frequent, our thoughts and perceptions are led to become more polarized as well. This influences the way we view and understand situations, ultimately impacting our actions and the world around us. Envision the last time you had an embarrassing moment in public. How would you describe that feeling? Likely, words like horrible, awful, or wanted to die come to mind. However, did you genuinely wish for your demise, or was the truth relatively milder? Perhaps hiding away to forget the incident would have sufficed. Our tendency to use exaggerated language in everyday situations is growing, and this, in turn, affects how we perceive the world. Take note, extreme language leads to extreme thinking. To analyze the influence of such language, the author conducted a study involving undergraduate students. These students were divided into two groups that were asked to incorporate specific adjectives into their daily conversations for a week. One group used extravagant terms like brilliant, horrific, and hopeless, while the other stuck to milder alternatives such as so-so, balanced, and regular. Upon the week's completion, the students were shown a grayscale gradient and asked to indicate where the white zone and the black zone began and ended. Results showed that those using intense adjectives marked a much narrower transitional area compared to their moderate peers, reflecting an incline towards extreme thinking. The effect of such language is not limited to thought processes but branches out into real-life ramifications. Consider the term depressed, which nowadays is often used interchangeably with sad or disappointed. This trivializes the plight of individuals with clinical depression, causing empathy to dwindle amidst a sea of misunderstandings. In summary, the words we choose to express ourselves can have tangible implications on our perspectives, actions, and the world. Recognizing the power of language is a fundamental step towards mindful communication and building greater understanding. Framing, the power of persuasion. In the context of Brexit, the Leave campaign effectively used linguistic framing in their slogan, "Take Back Control," playing on people's aversion to loss and desire for gain. Framing is a powerful persuasion tool, often relying on fight versus flight, us versus them, and right versus wrong. The key to avoiding the influence of framing is paying close attention to the hidden categories in people's arguments and recognizing the binary thinking within. The Brexit referendum in 2016 saw the United Kingdom divided into two camps, Leave and Remain. Ultimately, the Leave camp emerged victorious, and a significant factor behind this outcome might have been their strategic use of linguistic frames. Frames offer a specific perspective for viewing an issue and can alter the way people think and make decisions. The Leave campaign's slogan, "Take Back Control," serves as an excellent example of an effective linguistic frame. This phrase capitalized on people's innate fear of loss and their drive for gain, motivating them to vote for the idea of regaining control over their circumstances. Framing is an influential tool of persuasion, often rooted in three primary frames: fight versus flight, us versus them, and right versus wrong. These binary frames tap into our basic instincts and are what the author refers to as persuasion. For instance, an article discussing France's ban on the niqab incorporated all three frames to persuade readers of the need for the ban, presenting it as a security issue, preserving French values, and combating the oppression of women. Research on Australian political speeches across 43 elections also supports the potency of framing. Candidates who frequently utilized "we" and "us" terms were more likely to win. The us versus them frame, as demonstrated, can be a potent persuasive force. However, it's possible to avoid being swayed by framing. To do so, one must pay close attention to the hidden categories within people's arguments and learn to identify and deconstruct the underlying binary thinking. By staying vigilant and analyzing the frames employed, we can maintain our objectivity and make more informed decisions.
The concept of a black and white thinking has complex implications on our lives and interactions with our environment, but understanding these ambiguities will help enhance our ability to navigate the world. Black and white thinking provides a myriad of insights into human cognition, from the adaptability of our evolutionary categories to the ways in which our linguistic framing shapes perceptions and persuasion. We must learn to confront our own binary predispositions, identify when black and white thinking serves us effectively, and challenge it when it does not. As you go on, consider how adjusting your own categorization and embracing flexibility can lead to a more nuanced and comprehensive view of the world around us.